Welcome to the second episode of the 2024 season of Drinking and Driving. We drink, they drive, favorite NASCAR lifestyle podcast. Let's get it started because it's a packed episode. We have Daytona 500 to talk about. We will recap what happened, what this opening race means for the rest of the season. Of course, we're going to talk about Atlanta coming up this weekend on Sunday, 2:30 Eastern on Fox, and then we need to discuss the whole year. I think we had a lot of true colors come out at Daytona, and we need to see, are they going to be the trend for the whole year, or is that just getting the cobwebs out? So, what are your first impressions of that race?
Well, I was excited for the whole weekend, and then unfortunately the rain, the weather delayed us a bit, canceled the Xfinity races and Cup Series championship race until Monday. So unfortunately I couldn't watch all of stage one because I was still at work Monday. I think they started it off at 4 p.m. Eastern, so I was just getting home. What I heard was stage one was pretty good, but as I was watching stage two, it was pretty lackadaisical. But stage three, definitely a lot more excitement, a lot more movements, a couple big crashes. So I was excited. Stage three got me hooked on for the rest of the season, so I'm really excited for what's to come at Atlanta. Little unfortunate, my Dick's pick did not hit. Cindric top 10. He made an amazing run, second place going into the second to last lap. Right before the white flag, he got spun out. He had probably one of the better cars of the entire 42 car lineup last week. I'm excited for him to try to get back on track at Atlanta this week. So sorry guys, but that was a good pick. He had a great car, and it's just unfortunate what happened, but that's NASCAR. That's racing. Robin's racing. Right. So I mean, you can't complain.
Yeah. I definitely want to talk about those last few laps where all of that went down. But let's break it down from the beginning. I know you didn't get to see all of it. You saw the highlights, but we had a pretty good sized crash on the sixth lap of the whole race. And if you guys watched last week, one of my picks in our game, I had Harrison Burton, and my chances of winning plummeted after only lap 6 when they towed his car off the track and his day was done. So I was disappointed early, and that was really the biggest excitement of the first stage. Second, like you said, kind of quiet. Everyone kind of stayed in line. I'm not sure how racing, not a lot of passing. I think there was a lot of taking it slow. The drivers were laying off the gas, trying to save fuel, playing chicken to see who was going to go into pit first. Can we make it through the stage without pitting for gas? And so it made for a little bit of a boring second stage, just going half throttle, just waiting to see who was going to go to pit row. I don't know. I mean, it was okay.
Yeah,
it definitely showed you the politics.
It seems kind of expected.
Yeah.
First stage, everybody's excited to get back out, start the season, and you get an early crash. You said sixth lap, I think. Second stage, right. Okay, everybody's got those early jitters out of the way. Now it's strategy, follow strategy, just stay in the race at this point. And then third stage, you're trying to win. So I can see that.
Yeah, I saw, more strategy than I ever thought play out, like, for the viewers. I know there's tons of strategy behind the scenes, but we saw it with the pitting patterns and, who's going to go with them, and which row to go on. I mean, your blood just starts pumping once you see that third line develop. You go 3 wide going into the turns and, inches apart, and sometimes they're touching each other. It's just, it was an exciting one once we got into it.
But let's definitely. We did see a lot of three three wide racing over the
Absolutely.
weekend, and that's always great to see. I feel like we didn't see it all that much last year at Daytona, at
Right.
least as not as much as we expect. But this year was definitely a lot of it, and I mean
Yeah.
that shows at the big wrecks too.
Yeah, so let's go right into the big wreck. The big one on lap 192. We had definitely some of the best drivers of the whole weekend go out. Um, I think what was it? I think it was who took out who? I think it was Bowman maybe took out Logano. I should have done my research. And now I can't remember.
Hey, we're a
Um,
lifestyle podcast. We're not a
that's right.
NASCAR analysis podcast.
Yeah, but just out of the people involved in the lap 192 crash, Logano, Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, all legitimate contenders up until that point. So with under 10 laps to go, you had all these guys that you could have made a point that was going to win the thing. And I honestly think that the Penske cars, the Ford Penske cars, were the fastest of the whole weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
as I
and
alluded to earlier, I think even Cindric had the fastest out of all the Penske's. So
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Logano was quick. Logano was quick, and I think the only way he was gonna get stopped was getting wrecked there at the end. Um, but you know that's like you said, that's racing. You sometimes get stuck there, um, stuck in a bad spot. But as many times as it goes wrong for you, it's going to go right for you in the same direction. So you can't really complain about it. I don't think many of the drivers really had that much to complain about at the that that crash. But man, people were talking about the Ross Chastain into, or sorry, Cindric. No, it was Chastain into Cindric. Now that one I do know. Um, on the final lap at the white flag, just as for those of you that didn't watch it, going into lap 199, sorry, finishing 199, going into 200, you had Cindric clip. Cindric's got clipped by LaJoy. No, what the hell? Who was it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, I think Ross Chastain and Cindric.
Wasn't it Byron that spun him out? Byron won, and then somebody else was leading though.
Byron was leading.
Was he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So Byron
Byron won the thing.
just missed it by like an inch.
Yeah. So
Cindric got spun out, almost hit Byron.
yeah.
Was it
So
was it
I
Hamlin up there? Was it Hamlin? It wasn't
now
Hamlin that spun him out.
Hamlin was about 8. He got caught up in the back. Hamlin was making a hell of a run there, and I put my money on Hamlin last week, so I was fighting for him. But no, he got caught up in the backlash. LaJoy and Cindric were the ones to talk about that had the the butting heads at the end of
Yeah.
the race. LaJoy came out and made a statement, basically said LaJoy and Cindric and I are not friends. We're gonna race hard. It was the last lap of the Daytona 500. I'm gonna push, and I'm gonna push late. And Cindric does stupid things all the time. He can't be complaining because I've seen him do stupid shit. So I'm gonna go ahead and do stupid shit to win the Daytona 500. And so there was some button heads there. Love the drama. That's just drama right out the bat. For you could, I know you're high on Cindric this year, but for the middle of the road to the back half drivers, for them to start getting heated, we're in for a year, bud. And it's only a matter of time until that works its way up into the top 10, top 15 drivers. Gonna be an exciting year for drama and driver on driver combat. I hope that they wreck each other again this week and then they go at it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. We always love the drama and the fights. And I think with the Netflix series following them again, I think that's just going to feed into it. And hopefully we get to see that.
Absolutely. So, among that wreck, Byron stays clean. And there is definitely a little bit of controversy around when that caution flag comes out. That ends the race.
Oh yeah.
And I know you were a victim of this because you had Cindric in the top 10 in your bet, and he was 3 going into the wreck. If they call it early, he's still in the top 10. Um, but, I mean, Byron was just a few inches ahead. So it was all based on that last call. They had just crossed the line, so you see white flag and then right away yellow. At first, people didn't know if they made it across in time, and they were going to go to overtime. But they had just crossed. I mean, I watched some of the replays. I think NASCAR would have kept it green because the 2 cars that were involved were going off into the grass. And if they would have just kept going into the grass, I think they would have let everyone come around that one last time. But the drivers corrected, tried to come back onto the track, and once they did, they were coming up into the pack. And once that happened, they had to throw the yellow. So I have no problem with the time of caution. I did make money on it, off of it. I actually did really bad in everything that I predicted this week because of it. But I think NASCAR did the right thing here.
Yeah, I never know with the flags and everything. I don't know if they just got caught up like trying to get the white flag out and then really didn't expect, oh, got to go quick yellow here. So yeah, I did hear the announcers speaking like, oh, that was a slow yellow flag wave, and yeah, unfortunately, I lost a bet from it. Cindric sliding across, couldn't slide quick enough to stay within the top 10. So that's unfortunate, but Willie B just inches away from getting taken out by that wreck as well. And then who knows who would have won. And for people who don't really follow NASCAR, you still got to make it around one more time after that caution ends it. The winner still has to make it around across the finish line. So Byron did, obviously. It wasn't impacted by the wreck, but who knows who would have been able to make it around one more time. So that'd have been interesting to see.
Yeah, you're right. And I never thought that Byron was I thought he could finish top 10, but throughout the entire race, I never pegged him for a winner, let alone a top 5 driver. Actually, that was Byron's first lap he ever led. It was the first lap he led was after the 192 caution. So they went. They actually red flagged that. So I think they came back at 194. So he would have ran 3-4 laps in the lead. But that restart was the first time he had a lead the entire race, and he was able to stick it out towards the end. You know, Byron's never finished better than 22nd at the Daytona 500, and 22nd he comes in and wins the thing. So
that's the Daytona 500 for you. Anybody can win it.
Right.
Grabs.
Yeah, and I made the comment that Hendrick was going to have a hell of a year. I said that last year I thought that it was actually a disappointment that they only had 2 drivers in the Final Four, because they're a team that could have 3 or 4 drivers there at the end of the year. I mean, they're consistently good. I don't know how many wins they had last year, but it was a lot. There was no team that came close to that, I think, and they showed up again. Even Chase Elliott had a good showing after a crap year. He won that first stage and then stuck around close. Gave himself a chance at least. So I think this is just the beginning of what Hendrick can do. And Byron, he was always maybe two or 3 on their list, and starting strong. I mean, does he get the better car? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see who gets the better car once they figure all that out. I mean, he had a good season last year with a bunch of wins. But yeah, still like 2 or 3 on the team. So between them and Penske, I think they're gonna give everybody a run for their money. I think those two teams are at the top of it, and like always, but we'll see how that
Well,
goes.
right. Yeah, and as much as I was high on Hendrick, um, like you just said, Penske may have had the fastest two cars on the track. They just both got caught up. So that'll happen. It's going to be a matter of time. I'm very excited that we're going right back into another super speedway. It's a little shorter, the 1.54 mile track, the quad oval. So they're still going to be at high speed, and I'm excited that we started fast and we're going to continue going fast. And maybe Penske can pull that one out, but I'm not betting against Hendrick. No.
Yeah,
So
back-to-back super speedways at
right.
the revamped Atlanta Motor Speedway. So 5 years ago, I believe they redid it, and I believe it's
Actually,
much better for the fans to have
yeah.
another
Well,
super speedway.
so they resurfaced it, but the big change happened in '97. They went from the classic oval to the quad oval. Um, but yeah, the resurface definitely plays a role in this one. Um,
Uh,
But let's go before we move too far into Atlanta this week. Let's go over some of our picks from last week. I know we mentioned our winners, and we said who we were high on. But let's talk about some of those fun ones. So Daytona 500 always has a pretty impressive flyover, and we were not right. We should have
yeah,
known the
what was it?
Thunderbirds would have been back.
Six straight up triangle.
Six in the V, yeah, the full triangle. So it was the V with the one in the center. And if you guys remember, I said five. It would just be the V, and I missed the guy in the middle. But you said two. You were way off. I don't know where your head was. Um, Chalk that up to a big L for Clay and just a little L for Tex. So you already talked about Dick's picks. That was Cindric top 10. You even talked about winning. I thought you were a genius going into 199 out of 200 and just didn't fall.
Yeah, that's betting for you. Maybe next time I'll win it, getting someone else spun out, and I win it this time. But I also had another side bet I played was Joey Logano to lead 15 and a half laps. I thought that was a no-brainer. I mean, he won pole, so I figured he'd just lead a couple laps at the beginning, and then a couple later on throughout, he ended up leading, I think, 50 something. So
Yep, something like that.
easy win there. Um, Super fast car, one of the top couple cars in the whole lineup. So thought that was a no-brainer. I think he has another shot again. Team Penske as a whole does this coming week at Atlanta. So with that
Yeah.
said, you hear
Yeah.
about Chris Buescher.
What's that?
He missed Friday and Saturday practice at Daytona because he went home to see his child be born.
Oh.
So he had a lackadaisical performance at this Daytona 500, which I could only attribute to going home and missing practice. I will say the sports books are off him this week, so I think his price is a little low. So I believe you could go and find some good money to make on it this week.
Yeah. Yeah. You always got to go with that guy that has the talent that they're just off of him. So I mean, sometimes after those bad races, you're like, well, is he gonna stay bad? Did he have a bad car? Did he have a bad team? Like, whatever. But sometimes it just takes a kick in the butt to get back rolling, and we know he can do it. He had the wins last year, so yeah. All right, let's go back into our game, our pick'em. So in our pick'em, we take a top tier, a mid to bottom tier, and then a random.
Spin the wheel.
A spin the wheel. So, with that being said, Dick, he had Buescher in his top round, Jimmy Johnson in the bottom, and Corey LaJoy as his bonus. And I'll tell you that LaJoy got so freaking lucky. He was so lucky there at the end. Finished fourth. That gives you 37 points on just Corey LaJoy. Um, that's another one where I don't think he was a top 10 driver, and he ended there at the end. I
Yeah,
know he
no,
made a push.
he was up there the whole race. He was up top 10 the whole race. I was surprised about him. I even was like, "That's a sick ass car, the number 7." But yeah, I was surprised to see him up there the entire race. It wasn't just kind of like a fluke. He was fast.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. He ended up getting there. Like you said, I mean, he was around the whole race, but who was not around the whole race was Jimmy Johnson. I can't say I'm surprised. He did not have a good good race at all. I don't think he did get caught up in the early wreck, just minor damage. But in our eyes, we think it's minor damage. Who knows? It could have played a much bigger role.
I agree. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson was kind of just a legacy pick. I don't get to bet on him much, so I was a big fan of him. So I try to pick him every time I can.
Hey, you know what? The big thing is that he finished better than just he finished the race, and
Yeah.
that gave you 13 points. Um, as I said earlier, I had Harrison Burton as my bonus driver. That gave me a negative 10. When you don't finish a race, you get a negative. So I think that I had the better two combined drivers that I picked. I got screwed on my bonus. I had Kyle Busch, finished 12th. That's still 29 points. He just misses the top 10. He kind of had a disappointing race, I think. He was making a real big push at the end, but I don't know if he didn't have enough time. He needed to start making that push a lot earlier, and I don't think they really had it in him, or that team had it in him. So that didn't go terribly, but didn't go well for me. I thought he had a chance to win that one. I had Bubba, who finished fifth, right behind LaJoy. That was a surprise. I kind of figured him at maybe the top of the top 10, 8, 9, 10, something like that. He finished fifth. That's 36 points. That saved my day because, of course, Harrison was at a negative 10. You had Busher. You already alluded to it. Not great. Not great. He finished
Yeah,
18.
I
Still,
wasn't
still
expecting him
top
to
half.
miss practice. I wasn't expecting him to miss practice, but I mean, nobody could do that. I mean, we did this podcast earlier before that, so who knew that he was gonna have a baby? I guess I could have researched his family. Maybe I'll do that next time.
So yeah, Busher, then Jimmy Johnson, and LaJoy. Yeah. So the totals ended up being Dick 73, Tex 55. So you have a 18-point lead going into round two. That's we played this game last year. We had a very similar outcome on the Daytona 500. That it was by far our uh, lowest scoring round. I think we can expect to be in that 70s and above, unless something catastrophic happens. But we're usually much higher. The 55, that's atrocious. That's not good. But I'll come
Yeah,
back. 18
yeah,
points I can make up. How many races are there? A shit ton. So there's time,
a
and
metric shit ton too.
yeah, and then once we get into playoffs, it's worth even more. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Quickly, paint schemes. I think Cindric needs to change something up. I hate that discount tire number 2.
Yeah,
It's so boring.
yeah,
It's
it's
like
so
it
boring.
makes him seem like, I mean, he's not like super young. He was one of the older rookies, I believe. He looks like an old dude when he comes out of the car. He's kind of balding. Nothing against Cindric. Uh, I don't know him personally, but he kind of looks like a nerd. He needs some sort of flash. Like
Yeah,
I'll tell you, Reddick. he looks like a nerd. He's got a badass car. Like, you need that. I think that was my favorite car out of the weekend, was Tyler Reddick's the Monster Nasty Beast. So we met Tyler Reddick last year when he did the first Monster Beast, and now he's got the Nasty Beast out there. That was a badass car, I believe. You had any comments on any of the cars?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier as well. Corey LaJoy's. I don't know why that number 7 looks sick. I think it just reminds me of the slots, like the slot number 7, and
That's true. He's got
it's
the
sweet.
lucky number 7 there.
Yeah, lucky number 7.
But yeah,
So
that's the only other car that raced on Sunday that I wanted to mention was that Chili's, and then it had like the margarita pouring on the side. I did like
mhm,
that. And it was simple. It was just white with the red logo and everything.
very simple.
I did like that. Now, I think that blew out everyone else was Joel Bray, who didn't make the Sunday race. He was not qualifying. He was trying to qualify for the race, didn't make it, but he had the Death Wish Coffee Company. Black car on the hood, big old skull and crossbones.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
awesome.
sick. It was sick.
I
I
didn't see
really
that,
wish.
but I will look into that. We'll post these cars on our
Yep, on our
in
socials.
the description below, so feel free to
Yeah,
look.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
I will take a
That
look
was a
at
cool
that.
one.
That I love that brand. That's the sick logo. So I
Yeah,
can just imagine what that car looks like.
yeah, yeah. It was cool. And then matte black, the white skull and crossbones on the hood, and then the Death Wish Coffee logo in like blood red on the side.
That's
It was
awesome.
pretty sweet. Let's get into Atlanta. It's Atlanta week. We talked for, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes almost on Daytona. We're past Daytona. Fun race. Enjoyed it. But time to look forward. Well, I said this already, but we are on the 1.5 mile track, super speedway. Glad we're getting back. Um, what do you have to say about this one?
Atlanta, I'm not too fond of the city. There is a lot to do there. I will say, if you're going to this race, hit up the Georgia Aquarium. It's
Oh yeah,
awesome. I think the only aquarium in the U.S. that has a whale shark, and that tank is awesome. There's so much to do there. There's a lot of shows. It's super cool. So go see that. Regarding downtown, I mean, it's historic. You had the Olympics there, so you can see old Olympic buildings, stadiums. I believe Georgia Tech plays in one of the old stadiums. You got some colleges down there, like I just said, Georgia Tech. It's a pretty campus. Don't venture too far away from campus if you're gonna go out there. The city's a little kind of sketch. However, there's a lot of cool bars that you can find, a lot of rooftop bars, a lot of good nightlife. But obviously, try to be safe there.
yeah. There's definitely some sketchiness, but not necessarily right around the track. I think it's pretty. It's not remote because it's pretty close to the city, but they have 800 acres in and around the track that pretty much secluded, and you're at the racetrack.
Yeah,
So
and if you want to experience more racing, I definitely recommend the Porsche experience. It's probably 10 minutes from the track. It's in if you guys watch Marvel's Avengers, if you ever seen that, the Avengers headquarters, that's actually the building the Porsche experience is in. Um, Obviously, it's modeled after that. But you take a Porsche of your choosing around, they got two different test tracks. You do kind of a bunch of different like mini things. You could just do time trials around the track as fast as you can. You have an instructor with you teaching you like exactly where to drive and like what are the best curves to take and everything. You got like you could do launch control, you could do kick plate, you could do wet drifts around kind of like the sprinkler area. You have like a drift like kind of like a go-kart track that you could just practice drifting around too. It's super cool. I definitely recommend. Little pricey, but it's a once in a lifetime experience, especially if you want to add a little bit more racing to the weekend.
that's right. Yeah, I always wanted to get out there on the road or on the track. Um, Never really pushed my car to its limit, and
And
love
that's the cool thing
to be
about
able to do
them.
that.
They want you to push it to the limit. You could just go as fast as you can, just stomp on the gas, just stomp on the brakes whenever you want. They want you to break their car, basically. That's what they tell you as soon as you get in. It's not your car. You paid for it. You can do whatever you want to it.
That's sweet. Yeah, maybe we'll try to get down there for the second Atlanta race this year. Meet some of you guys, some of the viewers. Maybe do a little meet and greet, little tailgate, have a few pops, a few beers in us, and not while we're driving, but hit that, on maybe the day before. That'd be sweet. All right, Atlanta. You know who the uh, the guy that led more laps? Sorry, not more laps. Yeah, more laps. More laps, more starts, and more top tens than anyone else. Richard Petty. You think the
Okay.
Trackhouse
Is that why
guys?
you're wearing the hat?
They don't call me Tex for nothing. No. True legend. He has, like I said, the most experience, and you know, no one can argue that he's one of the best drivers of all time. You think Trackhouse has an advantage here, just because their leader is the greatest at this track?
Maybe I'm still a little off Busher.
Okay.
If you look at his last 5 races at Atlanta, you only have him qualifying top 10 once. So if you were to bet, he's still a little off practice. He has 2 less practice laps in his or practice sessions in his car than every other racer in the field because he missed the 2 last week. So he's probably still trying to get a hold of his car. He didn't race well last week. So I think qualifying is a little too, and he has a newborn at home. So I don't know how much time he has
You're
for
gonna stick
anything
on that one,
else.
aren't
I'm
you?
sticking on that. So at least qualifying, I think Trackhouse Busher will not perform at his best. And by the way, the line is starting position 10.5 for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. I'm not high on him, but he could. He has the potential.
Who do you
He
think
is.
has the most opportunity to perform the best out of Trackhouse?
So I do want to make a correction that Richard Petty is not Trackhouse Racing. He's Legacy Motorsports, but
Cool.
I that's why I didn't make too many comments there. He's a Legacy Motorsports guy. That I was flipping through my papers. I was like, does he know something I don't?
Hey, all you were saying was Trackhouse Racing. That's what I
I
thought.
did. I misspoke. I'm sorry. I mean, you got to be on Suarez. I thought. I think Suarez. I said this. I think I said this last week that he did not have a great year. He. I think he's going to have a way better year than he had last year, and I mean, I'm going to leave it at that. I just think that he has the potential. He had a great clash last year, and then a few big races that didn't end up panning out. But I think
He,
I
he,
think he's on the verge. He's like, I think he could be one of those guys that you'd say is not like, I hate to give the most improved award because that sounds like it's a middle school basketball player learning to have a free throw or to make a free throw, but maybe the most improved when it comes to standings at the end of the year. So I like Suarez.
yeah, you said last episode that you were really high on him for this upcoming year, and I was too. I really hope for that he performs well. I like him a lot as a driver, so I'm with you. He did not race well last week,
No.
so I'm gonna stay away from him this week until maybe he figures out his car. I don't know how he doesn't really perform well at super speedways anyway. So we'll look at him during short tracks and mid length tracks. I think he has better opportunity there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think going into this race, you have 7 drivers that are racing this week that have won this race. So I have a hard time betting against any of them. If I'm gonna look at a winner, I could even say top five could all be former race winners in Atlanta, because I'm gonna read you this list and when they won. Kyle Busch twice, 2008, 2013. He could be up there. I think that last week was one of those things. He just needed a little bit more time. I think he was really figuring out his car at the end of the race, and if you gave him 10 more laps, I think he would have been there battling for the lead. Denny Hamlin can never roll him out.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaving it at that.
Yeah.
Denny can't roll out. He won in 2012. Brad Keselowski, he has something to prove this year. He still hasn't won when he's been a part owner of his own team, RFK Racing. Uh, he needs to come back. He had a decent run this week. Probably, if you look at this year, that race versus last year, I'd say it's already an improvement. But he's got to push it even further. He won in 17 and 19. Ryan, not we got Blaney back to back. What do you think off the first two races? It's only happened
No.
twice in Cup history.
No.
No,
I don't think I'm not high on him this week. I don't know why. I didn't think he was that great last week. So I don't know. I'm still off him this week. I think in a few more races, I'll give him a few more races to build some confidence in at least me. So I'm still off him for this week.
okay, that's fair enough. I don't know. I think he, like I said earlier, I don't think he was the fastest driver. He was there at the end though. Um, that's a little bit of luck, but you have to put yourself in that spot to have the luck at the end.
Yeah, and you
So
don't
you
always have
can't.
to be the fastest driver to be at the end.
Right.
There's so many factors involved: strategy, where you position yourself throughout the track. That's all has to play with it. And he's an experienced racer. He's a winner. So
Right.
you have that to play with too.
Right. Then Byron, he won in 22 in the March race and again in 23 in the July race. He's up there. You gotta put him up there. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the Vegas odds. I would take that money plus 1,200. I like him in that sense.
I don't know. Back to back to start the season. That's tough. I don't want to do it.
Chase Elliott, bad year last year. Started off still. He's kicking. I'll say he's up
There's a
there.
heartbeat there.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good way to put it. That's a good
There's
way to put
someone
it.
there in that car.
And then you got Logano, 23 champ.
Yeah, I like Logano. I think he has a good car. Between him and Cindric, I think those two can go top three.
Yeah.
I don't see
I
why
cannot
not.
believe you're still on Cindric.
I'm
I
still high
know
on
I
Cindric.
know he had a good race. I know
He
he had a
might
good
be
race.
comeback
You're
driver of the year.
you're doing the exact same thing that you did 2 years ago. He won the Daytona 500 and then you lost so much money on him the next 5 weeks in a row because you thought he was the next prodigy.
Hey, this is the only time you can really bet on Cindric because once they figure out he has the best car again, they're gonna give him the worst car. So I think
Yeah.
I'm high on him until at least they switch to his car.
Yeah. So I mean, just based on those former winners, how can you say that they're not the favorites? I mean, they have to be your favorites
No,
just purely on their experience, and they've won it before. They're the biggest names in racing right now, and they're all former champs at Atlanta. And I think
I
that
agree.
has a testament to Atlanta Motor Speedway. I mean, the best. It takes the best to win it. You always will see a Daytona 500 champion, make it through the big one and win, not as a fluke, but right place, right time. You see
Yeah, I mean
McDonald,
Ricky
he did
Stenhouse
that.
last year right
Stenhouse,
there. Yeah.
Cindric. I mean, the prior three winners, I would say, were right place at right time guys. Atlanta doesn't seem like that. is necessarily the case. I think it takes a good driver to stay on that tighter track, still super speedway, but tighter. I think you got to be a skilled driver to win this one.
Yeah, and you could kind of see it with Cindric at Daytona. He was kind of, I mean, he was trying to lay some blocks, but he was doing it not too cleanly. So, yeah, so I don't know. Doing it at Atlanta is going to be a different scenario. If he's not clean at Atlanta, he's just going to get spun out again. So I can see him definitely getting crashed.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to clean up his driving a little bit if he wants to win and compete and be a top 3 driver.
Yeah.
At this race.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if manufacturers still play as big of a role as they did at Daytona. And I know, I'm not ignorant to the fact that Daytona and Talladega are the biggest ones for a manufacturer to play a role in the actual game plan. But I think that there was some huge benefits last week, and there's definitely some benefit that they can get this week. Like I said, tighter track, slower speeds around the corners, but that makes it really important to block for your teammates, get in right track position. It's not necessarily this time about the push or the drafting. It's more about having an ally out there to recognize that you're in trouble or that you need someone, and to go and help them.
Yeah.
So I think, with that being said, Fords again. I think Fords have the strongest manufacturing game plan. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many more Fords than Toyotas. I mean, Toyota is the only other manufacturer that I could see winning here. I don't know if a Chevy can. And you saw that last week at Daytona. So you saw, well, surprisingly, Chevy did show up in the second stage, but I think that was just because strategy. I think you saw Fords and Toyotas tail off second stage so they could be where they wanted to be at stage 3.
I'm looking at the past winners, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are Chevy. I will preface that by saying Kyle Busch won both of his in a Toyota, but he's currently driving a Chevy. You have only one Toyota, and the rest were Fords. So Chevy dominated in the past.
You really just have to look at the last 5 seasons, though, because it's a whole different track after they resurface this.
I agree, but if you look at those winners, it's in the past 5 seasons plus Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. So, and I'm not rolling them out because, like I said before, they're just so experienced. They're so fast. They're those are probably the 2 smartest drivers on the track every week. Those are the only 2 I would say that are racing on a different track than when they won. But,
yeah.
All right, I want you to tell me how to make a little bit of cash this week.
Okay. Well, I believe if you listen to the beginning of this podcast, Cindric top 3. I will not do a top 10 this time. Top 10 is where I make most of my money NASCAR betting. However, Cindric is only a plus like 130. I saw him for top 10. So I don't think that's worth taking a shot on him, being that he just doesn't have many top 10s in general. I am, like I said, very high on him. I think he had one of the fastest cars, maybe the fastest in Penske. So I will take him top 3 to give a little bit more payout. Top 3 gives you plus 680.
I like it.
So bet 10 win 68.
Okay.
And if you're feeling a little frisky, just take him outright. Take him as a winner. He's 25 to 1 odds to win. So if you're going to take him top 3, might as well just take him to win.
Yeah. I'm looking at the odds right now, And I know this is it's obviously the biggest long shot of whole the whole field, but BJ McLeod, 50,000. I
Okay.
mean, what do you like? Would you?
I don't like.
I know you don't like it, but I mean that's $1 to win 500. I mean, do you throw a fiver on that and
I
hope he gets
don't,
lucky?
because, like you said, there's not many flukes at Atlanta. It's always going to be a good driver, a good team that's going to win this.
Okay.
So I don't like it, at least here. Maybe down the road at a more kind of up to grabs track.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I kind of was just seeing what you'd say about that because I
No,
wouldn't
I'm a
actually do it,
professional sports bettor.
but
I don't bet on those types of picks.
so you already said it. Winning manufacturer. Who'd you like?
Um, yeah, I guess we just gotta go with the Fords. I mean, just because there's the most of them and they're the best at super speedways.
Yep, that's at plus 165. Like it, like it. All right, let's go through 3 driver matchups, and then we'll get into our game. Bubba Wallace versus Brad Keselowski.
See, I'm gonna take Brad Keselowski here. He's just a legend at super speedways, and I think he has a lot to prove this year just to
Yep.
get back at it. So I will take him. And Bubba has not shown me anything as of late.
Yeah, I think that these are the 2 drivers. We talked about this last week. These for me were the 2 drivers that had the most to prove this year. I just said it. Brad needs to win under his own leadership, or he doesn't necessarily look like a great team owner. Bubba he's been a part of 2311 Racing now for 3 years now, and in he said it in the Netflix documentary. He still feels like an underdog, and Denny did not like that, and I'm sure that Michael Jordan didn't either. And so his contract does come up. He's got to perform or change his attitude or a little bit of both to keep that one. I mean, he'll get picked up by someone else. He's a good enough driver too, but I think they both have a lot to prove. I also am going to take Brad here. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain.
That's a tricky one. I like Bell. I think I'm gonna go with Christopher Bell here. Just like him.
Just like him.
I really like Chastain though too, and he had a good race last week.
He did.
Bell as well did too. Kind of fell off a little late, I think.
Yeah, but he got involved in the wreck.
Yeah. So I think Bell comes back fighting. I think that'll be a good matchup. That's a coin flip.
Yeah, Bell with the top 3 finish last week. With the wreck, kind of had to face adversity there. But Chastain, he ran so well last year, even better the year before. Netflix documentary, I think, booted him in the ass, and he's ready to roll again. Last one, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney.
Denny Hamlin, like I said, I'm off Ryan Blaney this week until further notice.
I like it. I like it. Check back in. Maybe Phoenix or something like that. I like it. All right, let's get down to business. So we are going to. I picked first last week. You're going to pick first this week. You are going to go. Do you have the odds all up right now? Can you
I do
get them?
not.
Okay.
I can.
Okay. I want you to pick
I got it.
someone in the top half.
Sure.
There's 37 drivers this week, so first half and then back half, please.
Yes, sir. My first overall pick. I'm gonna have to run it with Logano.
Oh, okay. I like it. Yeah, we. You don't need to explain that one. You already said that you're high on him this week.
Talked about his team a lot, so I'm gonna That's all. Just Logano.
I'm
I
just
don't
gonna go.
like him as a. I'm really not a huge fan of him as a driver.
He's kind
His
of the same.
personality.
He has a very similar demeanor as Denny Hamlin, where they are extremely ultra competitive. They are very vocal about what other people do wrong. Um, and I'm not sure I've seen ever either of those two apologize for or acknowledge that they did something wrong.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. They seem like they're the seniors of the lineup, and they just always know what's best. And I don't know. I'm not too high on either of them, but they're great racers, so I will bet on them every now and then.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. This one is difficult because you're high on Penske, I'm high on Hendrick, and I kind of want to battle right now, even though I wasn't gonna go with this driver before. I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson. I, I
I'm surprised we have not talked about him this episode. I think he can show up here.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, I don't really have a good reason, except I really want to battle you right now. I want to go head to head. Just yeah, I want to see who flinches and goes back on their takes. And you know what? Those are obviously the two strongest teams in the league right now. So we could go all year.
My
But
18-point lead is really getting to your head. You're
I
freaking
know,
out already.
I know. I'm like sticking with my gut, but oh boy,
Talking so
yeah,
much shit on Chevys and now
yeah. Well,
first overall.
I'm going with Larson. One, he's not one of those winners. He it's surprising he's not one of those winners. He's won so many races. His teammates have um, Chase, Byron. They've won. So maybe they have the advantage over the Hendrick drivers, but I think Larson is one of those guys that he could win any race, and I think by the time he leaves, and retires, he's gonna win just about every racetrack that they go to. So with that, I'm gonna go with Larson. Now I want a back half. Um, this one is difficult this week because we just talked about how you kind of got to be one of the better drivers. Do you already know who you want?
I know who I want. I do. I will wait until you pick to bring up this other driver. I will take my second tier driver, Austin Cindric.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, I
that's
just got to
obvious.
quadruple down on him because I talked about him
All right, just
all
so you guys
episode.
know,
Team
we are
Penske.
not always going to be on the same guys. We're kind of being egotistical here, and we're like, "Oh, it didn't work last time, but I know it's going to work this time." We're trying to double down and
No,
back
I
it
I
up. But
have good reasoning. I think Team Penske is the fastest cars
you did say that. You
so
did say
far
that.
this year through the first race. So, got to go with statistics here.
I like it. I like it. Um, I you said that all already, and I still didn't decide. But I think I'm gonna go AD Austin Dillon, back half driver, probably one of those guys that he gets slept on a lot, uh,
For
and
good reason, he's not that good.
he's not. I mean, he's not bad, but he takes a ton of risk, and unfortunately, he doesn't finish a lot of races because of that. But when he takes a risk, he finishes better than he is, or at least his car is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with AD.
Okay. Let me ask you, Tex. What is Alex Bowman's odds?
Oh man, let me.
Because I'll tell you, he looked fast last week, especially in qualifying. I think he qualied four, I want to say, at Daytona.
Did he?
He's up in the odds again, one of the top odds to quali pole position this week. And that's a driver that doesn't get a lot of press, that nobody really talks about. And I think, according to the sports books, he is a good race car driver this year, according to his odds. I don't know where the odds are coming from, but they're pretty good.
He's 2,500, so that puts him
2,500.
about 11, 12 in this race.
Yeah, he's the
Um,
same with Cindric. I would choose one of those two for an underdog pick because Bowman does look good, at least so far this season.
yeah, I
I think
agree.
he can get a good quality spot, and then I think the rest of the way, if he stays up there, has a shot to win or place.
Do you think he rustled some feathers being that involved in that the big one? Do you think that like I
No, you
mean, do you
can't.
think
I
it?
don't think that. I don't think
Uh,
that puts a target on his back or
okay,
anything or
I
something
think
like
the
that.
only
At
person.
Daytona, 25 drivers have been involved in wrecks last
Yeah,
week.
yeah, you're right.
So
I think the only driver that needs to have like watch his back would be Corey LaJoy.
yeah, I would, like we said, LaJoy Cindric drama this year.
Yep,
I think
I'm
both of
rooting
them.
for it.
Me too. Both of them have really nothing to lose, so just go ahead and wreck each other.
That's right. All right, let's get our bonus driver. You're going to be the first one, and like we said last week, this would be a random number 1 through 37. That's the 37 drivers that are entered in this race, and they're just in numerical order based on their racing number. So you're first, generating, rolling. 15. 15 would be. Oh, God. I'm sorry, bud. Josh Williams.
Okay.
That's not
Is he
great.
number 15?
No, he's number 16, actually. He's Yeah, like, we don't talk about him
I didn't
for
even know
good
there was
reason.
a number 15 car.
He's not a number 15 car, he's number 16. But
Okay. Gotcha.
Kaz Grala is the number 15 car.
I will say,
New
that's
guy
a
this year.
sick ass name.
Kaz. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a Star Wars character.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's see who I got. 23. 23. We both got screwed here. 23 is Daniel Hemrick.
Okay.
Okay, side bet for Chloe points. This is our own side personal bet. If both of I'll take that neither of them will finish the race.
I
25
think I
points.
have faith in my guy.
Okay, so
What's his name?
it's Josh Williams.
Josh
Oh man.
Williams.
Yep. You know what, Henrik? He had a pretty good race last week. I'm not gonna lie, he did get.
I did
Uh,
remember seeing his name.
that's right. No, he's not horrible. He is not horrible. Where did he finish? Oh boy, way down there.
Did he finish?
No, wait, I just can't find him for a second. Hemrick.
Wait,
16.
isn't that the guy? No. Who did we bet on last week that we didn't think we were gonna finish like halfway through the race? And then both of your guys got involved in the big one.
Wait, what was that?
That we bet on like Hemmer to not finish last week, like halfway through the race.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, halfway through. That's right. That was the guy. That's because he was making a push. That's exactly what it was. Because he was making a push. He was in like second or third, like fighting for the lead. And you texted like, "Who is this hoe?" or something like that. And I said, 25 points. He won't finish the race, and he did finish the race. He ended up pretty good, 16th for his for a Daytona 500 start as a I would say relatively no-namer when it comes to the Cup Series. Hey, someone's got to win, right?
That is true.
Yeah. You have any last second things? Oh, when I was doing a little bit of prep work going into this, I actually came across a really cool cool stat, not stat, a fun fact and one of the reasons why I had to wear the hat today. Did you know that one of Jimmy Carter's first jobs growing up was at Atlanta Motor Speedway as a ticket taker?
I did not know that.
That's pretty cool. A former president just sat there and took tickets from drunk bastards like us.
And he became a president. So he must have learned a lot.
he probably watched people like us and was like, damn, that's what not to do.
He knows exactly how to get on the drunk bastard side, get their vote. That's what he learned.
That's right. That's right.
Was he a Republican? I don't know politics.
And then the last thing I wanted to end with, the Xfinity race. Just wanted to say, Frankie Muniz, the child actor.
Malcolm in the Middle.
He is going to be a more permanent fixture in Xfinity race. Not every race, but we'll see him next in Phoenix.
Sweet.
He started out pretty good. I think he wrecked in lap 13 and out of the race. So he ended up 33rd. But in those Xfinity races, if you can finish 2 laps, I'm pretty happy with you. You never know what's going to happen in those. And I think that's something that we need to pay more attention to this year. Because, well, one, we're going to learn those back half drivers over the next coming years. But, man, are they so fired up. They have more to lose and more to gain than anyone else. And so they're fighting like hell to get out of there. You know, some of them aren't making enough money to get city to city. I mean, they're just getting by sponsors. And some of them are on the verge of making it. And some of them are on the verge of having to get their old jobs as a used car salesman. So I kind of like that. I know we have a really good time when we go to the races, watching the Xfinity races. For one, we feel like we can get drunker because you don't really care if you don't remember every part of it, like you do at the Cup Series. But I just think it's the first big race of the weekend, and it's just so exciting. Gets your blood pumping, ready to watch the other races, and it's shorter. So it's shorter. Fun.
Yeah, you have these names that might compete in the Cup Series, will compete in the Cup Series, and sometimes you always have like a Kyle Busch that competes down in the Xfinity or Truck Series as well.
Right.
And that's why you see a lot more risk taken in Xfinity too. So you might see some big crashes. A lot. You thought Daytona Cup Series had a lot of three wide racing at Daytona. Xfinity had so much 3 wide racing at Daytona.
Oh yeah,
it was really cool to see.
Yeah, and there's it didn't happen this week, but there's always fights. Like we were just saying, so fired up that they're not afraid to punch each other. And a lot of those guys are like right out of high school or like college age kids, like testosterone just finally like meeting its peak, and like you know, like they don't understand everything yet in society, and they're just like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this guy, like. Yeah, you can't do that. And then he like watches the replay and was like, damn, that was my fault. You know? So I have a good time with it. I'm definitely going to be watching it this week. This week, I don't remember when that race will start, but I do know that if you're tuning into qualifying, do that on Saturday morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We will then have the race. What'd I say? Sometime Sunday on Fox. What was it? I already said this. At 2:30 Eastern is when the coverage will start on Fox, and a 3 p.m. start. Thanks for another great episode. We will be kicking it back. We're actually going to record either as the race is finishing on Sunday or just after, so you're going to get the freshest takes. We're not going to do any background research. We're going to go right into the podcast. Could be exciting, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So we will see you next week. Have fun, Atlanta. Remember, we drink, they drive, we don't combine them. Stay safe. Peace.